A flower is the most beautiful and attractive part of a plant that contributes to the process of reproduction. Typically, a flower has four main whorls: calyx, corolla, androecium, and gynoecium. These whorls are arranged on the swollen end of a stalk called the thalamus or the receptacle. The outermost whorl is the calyx, consisting of sepals. The next inner whorl is the corolla, consisting of petals. Both calyx and corolla are accessory whorls or non-essential whorls of a flower. While the calyx protects the flower in its bud stage, the corolla helps to attract insects and birds for the purpose of pollination. In some plants, such as the lily, both the calyx and the corolla are fused to form the perianth. The whorl inner to the corolla is the androecium, consisting of stamens, which are the male reproductive organs. The innermost whorl is the gynoecium, consisting of one or more carpels, which are the female reproductive organs. Both the androecium, gynoecium are the reproductive organs of a flower. They are also called the essential whorls of a flower. Flowers can be either bisexual or unisexual. A bisexual flower has both androecium and gynoecium, while a unisexual flower has either androecium or gynoecium. Flowers can also be either asymmetrical or symmetrical based on the arrangement of floral parts around the thalamus. An asymmetrical flower cannot be divided into two similar halves by any vertical plane that passes through its center, while a symmetrical flower can be divided into similar halves. Symmetrical flowers can be subdivided into two types: actinomorphic and zygomorphic. An actinomorphic flower can be divided into similar halves in any radial plane that passes through its center, while a zygomorphic flower can be divided into two similar halves only by a single vertical plane that passes through its axis. Flowers are also classified as trimerous, tetramerous, or pentamerous based on the number of flowering parts like sepals, petals, and stamens. Trimerous flowers have flowering parts in sets of 3, while tetramerous flowers have them in sets of 4, and pentamerous flowers in sets of 5. Some flowers have reduced leaves at the base of the thalamus known as bracts and are commonly called bracteates. These bracts are absent in some flowers known as ebracteates. Based on the position of the gynoecium with respect to the calyx, corolla, and androecium on the thalamus, flowers are described as hypogynous, perigynous, and epigynous. When the gynoecium is at the highest position on the thalamus with respect to the calyx, corolla, and the androecium, the flower is said to be a hypogynous flower. Such flowers are said to have a superior ovary. Common examples are brinjal and mustard. When the gynoecium is at the center of the thalamus and all the other parts are on its rim, the flower is called a perigynous flower. The ovary in these flowers is said to be half inferior. Rose and peach are typical examples of perigynous flowers. However, in some flowers, the ovary is completely enclosed within the thalamus and is fused within it, while all the other parts appear above the ovary. Such flowers are called epigynous, and their ovary is said to be inferior. Sunflower and guava are epigynous flowers. The arrangement of flowers on the floral axis is called inflorescence. Depending on whether the apex of the floral axis is converted into a flower or continues to grow, two major types of inflorescences are defined: racemose and cymose. In racemose inflorescence, the flowers appear laterally in acropetal succession, that is, from the base to the top of the main axis. Therefore, the main axis or stalk continues to grow at the tip. However, in cymose inflorescence, the flowers appear in basipetal order or grow in succession from the apex to the base of the main axis. Here, the main axis ends in a flower and further development takes place by the growth of lateral branches. Therefore, apart from being the most beautiful and attractive part of a plant, a flower contributes to the process of reproduction and helps in the perpetuation of species. A flower is the most beautiful and attractive part of a plant that contributes to the process of reproduction. Typically, a flower has four whorls: calyx, corolla, androecium, and gynoecium. The outermost wall is the calyx, which consists of sepals that are green, leaf-like structures that protect the flower in its bud stage. The sepals can be either free or united. When free, the calyx is called polysepalous, and when united, the calyx is called gamosepalous. The next inner whorl is the corolla, which consists of petals that are usually thin and soft. There is a wide variety in the color and shape of the corolla. It can be in the shape of a wheel, funnel, or bell, and is sometimes tubular. The primary function of the corolla is to attract insects and birds for pollination. Like the calyx, the petals of the corolla can be either united or free. When united, the corolla is called gamopetalous, and when free, it is called polypetalous. The arrangement of the sepals and petals also characterizes a flower. The positional arrangement of the sepals and petals with respect to other members of the same whorl within a flower bud is called aestivation. Aestivation is of many types. However, the main ones are valvate, twisted, imbricate, and vexillary. In valvate aestivation, the sepals or petals within a whorl touch each other at the margin with no overlapping, while in twisted aestivation, one sepal or petal overlaps that of the next one, and so on. In imbricate aestivation, the margins of the sepals or petals overlap one another, but in no particular direction. And finally, in vexillary aestivation, each sepal or petal covers the sepal or petal that is within it. Now let's learn about androecium, the whorl inner to the corolla. The androecium consists of stamens, which are the male reproductive organs of a flower. Generally, each stamen has a stalk called the filament and an anther at the tip. The anther usually has two lobes, each with two chambers, which are the pollen sacs. The pollen sacs contain pollen grains. A stamen that is sterile is called a staminode. Moreover, the filaments of a stamen can be of different lengths, as in mustard and salvia. The stamens can also be attached to each other or to other parts of the flower. For example, in the mustard flower, the stamens are epipetalous or are attached to the petals, while in the lily, the stamens are epiphyllous or are attached to the perianth. Stamens can also remain free or polyandrous, as in lily, or united in varying degrees, as in China rose, the pea plant, and citrus plants. In China rose, the stamens are united into one bundle and are called monoadelphous. In the pea flower, the stamens are grouped into two bundles and are called diadelphous. And in the lemon flower, the stamens are grouped into more than two bundles and are known as polyadelphous. Now the innermost whorl is the gynoecium. It consists of one or more carpels, which are the female reproductive organs of a flower. The carpels can be either fused or free. For example, in tomato and mustard, the carpels are fused and are called syncarpous, while in rose and lotus, the carpels are free and are called apocarpous. Each carpel has three parts: stigma, style, and ovary. The stigma is the part of the carpel that receives the pollen grains. The style is the elongated tube that lies on the ovary and connects it to the stigma. An ovary is the enlarged basal part and bears one or more ovules, which are attached to a placenta that is soft and flat. Once fertilization takes place, the ovules form the seeds and the ovary develops into the fruit. The arrangement of ovules within an ovary is called placentation. There are different types of placentation: axillary, parietal, basal, free or central, and marginal. In axial placentation, the placenta is axial and the ovules are attached to it in a multilocular ovary, as in lemon and tomato. In parietal placentation, the ovary is initially single-chambered. A false septum later develops and divides it into two chambers. The ovules develop on the peripheral or inner wall of the ovary. Parietal placentation is seen in plants such as cucumber and melons. When the placenta develops at the base of the ovary and a single ovule is attached to it, the placentation is called basal placentation. This is seen in marigold and sunflower. In free or central placentation, septa are absent and the ovules develop on the central axis as seen in primrose and dianthus. Finally, in marginal placentation, along the ventral suture of the ovary, the placenta forms a ridge. The ovules are borne on this ridge in 2 rows as seen in the pea plant. The calyx, corolla, androecium, and gynoecium are the 4 whorls of a flower. The calyx and the corolla are the accessory whorls, while the androecium and the gynoecium are the reproductive organs. Technical descriptions of plants are very useful in the study of floral morphology and help taxonomists in the easy identification and classification of plants. The technical description of a flowering plant must be expressed in scientific language and must be simple, brief, and sequential. The description starts with the vegetative characters of the plant, such as the type of roots, stem, and leaves. This is followed by a description of its floral characters and flowering parts, such as sepals, petals, stamens, and carpels. The description of vegetative and floral characters is followed by a floral formula and floral diagram, which represent the floral description in condensed form. The floral formula is represented by a set of symbols and provides information about a flower such as its symmetry, sex, calyx, corolla, perianth, androecium, gynoecium, bracts, bracteoles, staminodes, pistilodes, and the number of sepals, petals, stamens, and carpels. The formula also explains cohesion and adhesion within parts of whorls and in between the whorls with the help of symbols. Some of the symbols used to represent the different parts of a flower and the relationships between these parts are as shown. Let's understand the symbols in the floral formula of a mustard flower. The mustard flower is actinomorphic and bisexual. The calyx has 4 sepals arranged in 2 rows and the corolla has 4 petals. There are 6 stamens arranged in 2 rows and the gynoecium is bicarpellary and syncarpous with a superior ovary. The floral formula of a flower is usually accompanied by its floral diagram. The floral diagram is a graphical representation of the cross-section of a flower and provides information about the different parts of a flower, their arrangement, and the relationships between these parts. The outermost whorl in the floral diagram is the calyx, followed by the corolla, androecium, and gynoecium. The floral diagram presents information about a flower such as its sex, symmetry, bracts, bracteoles, the number of floral whorls, the calyx, corolla, androecium, and gynoecium. Like in the floral formula, various symbols are used while drawing a floral diagram as shown. Thus, the description of a flowering plant provides vital information about the plant. The description begins with the vegetative and floral characteristics and is followed by the floral formula and the floral diagram. Flowering plants or angiosperms are the most diverse group of plants on Earth. These plants are categorized into different families based on their morphological characters. Let's describe a few important flowering families. Is the Solanaceae family, commonly known as the potato family. Plants belonging to this family are found in the tropics, subtropics, and temperate zones. These plants are usually herbs, shrubs, and small trees. Their stems are herbaceous, rarely woody, aerial, erect, cylindrical, branched, solid or hollow, and hairy or glabrous. Sometimes, the stems grow underground, as seen in potato. In these plants, the leaves are alternate and simple, and are very rarely pinnately compound. Moreover, they are exstipulate, or without stipules, and have reticulate venation. The flowers are arranged in cymose inflorescence, or may be solitary or axillary. Moreover, they are bisexual and actinomorphic. The calyx has 5 sepals, which are united and persistent with valvate estivation. Like the calyx, the corolla also has 5 petals that are united with valvate estivation. In these plants, the androecium has 5 stamens and is epipetalous, and the gynoecium is bicarpellary and syncarpous. The ovary is superior and bilocular, and the placenta is swollen with many ovules. The fruits of these plants are berries or capsules with many endospermic seeds. The floral formula and the floral diagram of the Solanaceae family are as shown. Many plants like tomato, brinjal, and potato, belonging to the Solanaceae family, are used as food. Chili is used as a spice, and belladonna and ashwagandha are used as medicines. Tobacco has fumigatory properties, and petunia is an ornamental plant. Another important family is the Liliaceae family, or the lily family, which is a characteristic representative of monocot plants. Plants belonging to this family are perennial herbs with underground bulbs, rhizomes or corms, and these plants are found all over the world. The leaves of these plants are generally basal, alternate, and linear. Also, they are exstipulate with parallel venation. The inflorescence is either solitary or cymose, usually with umbellate clusters, and the flowers are bisexual and actinomorphic. In these plants, the calyx and the corolla are fused to form the perianth, which has 6 tepals, usually united into a tube. Also, the perianth has valvate estivation. In the Liliaceae family, the androecium consists of 6 stamens, and the gynoecium is tricarpellary and syncarpous. The ovary is superior and trilocular, with many ovules arranged in axile placentation. Fruits belonging to this family are generally capsules and are rarely berries, while the seeds are endospermous. The floral formula and the floral diagram of the Liliaceae family are as shown. Plants like tulips and gloriosa, belonging to the Liliaceae family, are ornamental plants. Some like aloe and colchicum autumnal are used as medicines, and asparagus is used as a vegetable. Therefore, the description of a flowering plant includes its vegetative characters, floral formula, and floral diagram, and provides vital information about the plant.